Hello and welcome back to FT Business School. Entrepreneurs will be critical to economic recovery in most of the Western world, but teaching managers from small local enterprises and family businesses is often something business professors shun, preferring to work with global corporations instead. George Fager is the newly appointed Dean of Aston Business School in the UK, a school which has built its reputation on working with small companies in the Birmingham area. Professor Fager, does this small is beautiful policy actually hinder you when you're trying to seek a global reputation?
Well, I would say it's the opposite. Small and medium-sized businesses are the backbone of every economy in the world. There are very few large companies, relatively speaking, but there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of small ones. And the ideas and practices we're developing in the Midlands are eminently exportable, and indeed we're having discussions with universities in other countries about exactly this kind of let's call it executive education.
Right, so what can you learn in Birmingham that you can take to somewhere like Shanghai?
All of these businesses are subject to some what I would call normal issues and some issues that have become dramatically important because of the evolution of the world economy. I'll give you an example of a normal issue. It's personnel management. Many of these businesses are family businesses. And if you think about it, if you're a non-family member of the management of a family business, you think your prospects are probably capped if there is a son or a daughter who is also in this business. And this is one of the factors that actually limits the ability of these entities to grow. And there are ways of speaking with the owners and the managers of these companies. There are ways of talking to them about capital structures and so on, which can be very helpful. And there are a number of these sorts of issues, especially human resource issues, which are perennial.
This is a very practical approach, isn't it? I mean, isn't this a problem when you're looking at things like rigorous academic research? And because that is the basis of a lot of funding in the UK, isn't it?
The thing to remember is that we're running a business school. And a business school's purpose is to engage with business. And the research that we're doing is research that engages with business and deals with business issues.
And where does the money come from to pay for these sorts of programs? Because these are small companies, aren't they?
Yes. At the moment, much of the money comes directly or indirectly through various government sources, whether it's the central government or local enterprise partnerships or other such entities. So we have something called a knowledge transfer partnership, and that is essentially a very sophisticated consulting activity with a company. At the moment, the government is paying 80% and the company is paying 20%. So from the company's point of view, you get an extraordinarily leveraged return. What we're finding is that as our reputation for doing this well expands, then people are willing to pay. And our aspiration eventually is to make this what I would call a paying enterprise, in the sense that companies recognize the value that's created by these things.
Professor Fager, just a final question. You came to the UK from Silicon Valley, which is the sort of hotspot of entrepreneurs. I mean, is there anything you can brought from there to Birmingham? I mean, surely they're very, very different places, aren't they?
They're different places, but the enterprises are actually common. I ran a business before this. A lot of my clients were the owners and creators of these small and medium-sized companies. The big difference is not the industrial base or the business base. The big difference, in fact, lies in the area of financing. California is full of venture capitalists, private equity firms, mezzanine lenders. I don't find many of these in Birmingham, and one of our challenges in the Midlands is to increase the availability of startup finance, of venture leasing. These are the great opportunities that can transform the prospects of these companies.
Professor Fager, thank you very much indeed. To keep up to date with business school news and analysis, you can go to ft.com/business education.